It's very rare that an investigative journalist can capture the attention of one of the world's leading bodies in the control and oppression of chemical weapons. But following numerous allegations that the president of Syria, Bashar al-Assad, used chemical weapons on terrorist groups in the city of Douma, it seems that the images of people rinsing their skin and claiming to be burnt were all an elaborate performance choreographed by the US and the so-called White Helmets. The young reporter by the name of Aaron Mate joined officials from the United Nations and the OPCW via video link and delivered a piece exposing the truth behind the events in Douma.
It would mean that in the case of Douma, the OPCW was exploited to accuse the Syrian government of a chemical weapons attack in Douma in April 2018. It would also mean that the OPCW was used to retroactively justify the bombing of Syria by several member states just days after the alleged Douma incident. In short, it appears the OPCW was compromised to justify military strikes.
It seems that in collaboration with Mate's speech, certain OPCW inspectors who investigated the original incident also claim that their findings were either manipulated or censored, seemingly to allow the justification and condemnation of the Assad government. But when it came to just who was responsible for the cover-up, all evidence soon pointed to the US, as the OPCW claimed that even as a so-called independent body, they were under direct pressure of the United States to do as they were told.
Upon their return from Syria, the FFM team drafted an extensive and detailed report of their findings. But what the investigators found in Douma is not what the OPCW released to the world. And that is because the investigators who were on the ground in Syria were overruled and had their findings censored.
This notion was backed up by the Russians, who also played a part in the investigation, with Russian military commander, Lieutenant General Viktor Pozhnikhin, backing up the evidence with Russian findings.
Действующие исключительно в рядах террористов, одиозные белые каски в очередной раз имитировали перед видеокамерами постановочную химическую атаку на мирных жителей города Дума.
But it seems that the truth was never meant to come out, as the evidence of the chemical attacks was quickly hidden away following the allegation, hence causing people to take to social media to condemn the lies of the US President Donald Trump and then UK Prime Minister Theresa May. In spite of the findings, it seems that the OPCW has yet to offer an explanation.
The OPCW leadership has yet to offer a substantive explanation for why so much critical evidence was excluded and why the original report was radically altered.
The US have shown that they're clearly failing in their foreign policy ideas when it comes to West Asia. The assassination of top Iranian commander, Lieutenant General Qasem Soleimani, saw the US realise the errors of their ways in Iraq, where not only did a counterstrike send an open and frank message to Washington, but it also left many US troops packing their bags in the process. As the US continues to try and cling on to what they have left in the area, through bogus deals and alliances with Persian Gulf states and the Israeli regime, the world is also waking up to the abuse of power by the US, as it claims it can justify taking away Syrian resources while occupying the land and backing terrorist groups, as Trump tries to deflect away the notion of failure in West Asia by claiming victories as a peacemaker in the region. The sentiment is not felt elsewhere, with many nations demanding that the US leave the area for good and question why certain states are aligning with the Zionist regime. It's hence why the idea of the Americans no longer being respected and admired in the region comes as no surprise, with hasty retreats being made, whilst claiming that their mission is done in the region, rather than admitting that they've been gently reminded it's time to leave.
The coalition transferred Kiara Air Base to the full control of the Iraqi security forces. The coalition had a small area inside the base, and we will have several hundred troops departing this base and eventually leaving Iraq.
With the US now in one of the most challenging times of their era, the lies and stories being put out are starting to hit home, not only in the West Asian region, but even back home on US soil, as once again, much like the work of the Grayzone and Aaron Mate, people start to expose Trump and the American government for the fraudsters that they really are.